Hi, my name is Kyle, otherwise known as Wowflower, and today I'd like to talk to you about my new EP, Underwater Music. Conceptually, it's just like, what if somebody had like a JBL speaker and dropped it into a fish tank and just like played some beats with the speaker stuck in the fish tank? What would it sound like? What would the vibes be like? From a production standpoint, I relied heavily on granular synthesis, which is when you take a segment of an audio file and kind of loop it back on itself. Ableton has a lot of great devices that focus on granular synthesis, and I've just been kind of geeking out putting stuff into these devices and seeing what comes out. Thought it could be fun to break down a track or two and just show you some of the pieces that went into this project. I've been messing about with randomization in Ableton Live, mostly utilizing a device I picked up from DankSauce called RNDGen V2.2. It randomizes parameters each time a MIDI note is triggered. The parameters are set here, and you can do up to 9 of them at a time. But the real star of the show is this Quick Map button. Usually you have to come over here, click Map, then go find what you want to map it to, click that, and then repeat this process for each thing that you want to map to this device. It's not the worst thing in the world, it just is a little bit time consuming and kind of tedious. But while we have these 4 things mapped, let me just show you what this device does when I press a random MIDI note. With Quick Map, however, we no longer have to go back and forth. We just click Quick Map one time, and then go click around on the macros that we want to map to the device. And we can only do up to 9 macros per instance of this device, but you can just copy and paste it and keep on mapping. And now we have all these parameters set up. Let's create an audio track to capture the audio that we're going to generate with this new randomized granulator thing. And don't forget, the audio that we put into this device to begin with was just me messing about on a guitar. And so a lot of the sounds on this album are made using this random gen with the granulator. I made a video about this on my secondary channel, Wowflower Beatmaking, and somebody in the comments pointed out, how can you find your sound if everything is random? But everything isn't random. We're just generating random sounds and then using them as samples. How does a hip-hop artist who samples old soul records find their sound? You know, it's all relative. Another big piece of this project that goes into the sound and vibe of it is the fact that I'm currently between living situations. I have an apartment in New York that I'm never at, and then I have a little space here at my parents' house that I'm at maybe one day out of the week. Other than that, I'm at my girlfriend's house pretty much all the time. I'll be moving in here soon, so I'll have a setup here pretty soon, but in the meantime, I'm just rocking a laptop and headphones, and maybe if I'm lucky, a MIDI controller. So my setup has gotten very, very minimal. I am oftentimes sitting on the couch, slouched over my computer, and to make these sounds, all you need is one little click of a MIDI signal, which you can do on your typing keyboard. If you press M in Ableton, you can enable the typing to the MIDI typing. I don't know what the official name is for it, but yeah, just doing that, you just hit one thing and you can get all these random sounds that then you can dig in and chop up and resample and rearrange. So for a guy like me that's currently in between, lifestyles, it's ideal. I want to make music, I want to experiment. I'm kind of over sampling stuff off YouTube, and this is just kind of where I'm at. But just really quick, let's go over one more little caveat in Ableton, which is bouncing groups, which is essential to this whole project. Up until this previous version of Ableton, you couldn't flatten groups into one audio file, but now you can. So again, another important part of this process is as you record these random sounds, bear with me while I make a new thing. Okay, so it doesn't sound great, but we get these how we like them. Then we just select all of them and hit group, Command G, hit bounce group in place. Now we have this audio file, which is a little bit easier to manipulate. So, we could use these hits and then stretch this one out twice as long in beats mode, change up the transients. And it's janky, you know? We repeat this process until we get some interesting sounds. Do it again, Command G, bounce group in place. Now we got this. Yeah, you know, I'm not going to use this. Now when you hear some of the tracks in this first song we're going to look at called Marv, you'll know where these sounds kind of came from. So let's go back to Marv and take a look. So let's go back to track 2 of the album. It's called Marv. This is the project file. Things are labeled for the most part. We got a drum group. And again, these are the result of, you know, bouncing groups down. I've just decided that since this one has a lot of low information, also there's going to be a bit of a delay because the master chain is dense, but because this one had more kick information, I called it kick, and then this one is more perky. There's some perk stuff going on there, and I resampled some claps at the end of it. If you pair that with its equivalent track, so there's perks and then there's perk delay. So when this plays with everything else, sounds really crazy. And then we got this drop sound. Gotta love a drop sound. And these chords, these are just some electric piano chords that I put into the granulator, and I turned the transpose knob off and was able to kind of play these keys as I saw fit, and this is just a little pattern I played. It's very simple. That was the goal. And then you just got some effects chains and some bass. Putting that underneath it. And what's funny is this little bass line here, I got that from a Call of Duty Modern Warfare song that I used to hear a lot when I was a little boy. Okay, I found it. Listen to the bass in this part. Right? That ba-da-ba. I put that into this song. And don't sue me for copyright infringement because I played that in myself. I didn't sample it. But yeah, that's Marv. Simple, very simple track, because when you take these complicated granular synthesis sounds and you resample them and you recontextualize how you want in the arrangement, it's all about resampling and reducing kind of big structural ideas into just one track that you can then edit further. Now we're going to look at track 4. It's called Forgotten Dread, and I spelt dread without the A. I don't know why I did that. There's no good reason. This one's simple. It's just some of these granulator effects. All this pink is effects, just like this kind of stuff. Key part is a resampling of some randomly generated chords. And the way I did that is this plugin called Chordimist. I've been gassing this plugin up for years now. There's a new version of it that I am less familiar with, but this is what I did on that last track. So I load in Chordimist, then I'll put like a pitch after it, drag down contact, and just get 2 vibey sounds. Make it sustain, give it a color, 0, random play order, and then I'm going to select, you know, like a D, and then we'll hit this dice symbol. And then we're going to copy that. Now the key right above it. I'll make them both minor. And then I'm going to go to this contact instrument and hit Command G. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to find another sound. This time I'll just use the Scarby. And then now we have 2 sound sources. One's kind of chill, and one's a bit more percussive. And then we just put separate effects on each one of these, and it, you know, we get a nice lush sound. And then we create a new audio track. Make sure this is on in, and then we resample from it. And as I was recording that, I was messing with this frequency on that tremolo. But now we have this little resampled bit, and we can repitch this around. We can chop this up, you know, we could drag this into a simpler, that's how I'd generate those chords. In this case, you know, we can get into chopping it up and making a whole new song. But in this instance, something about these chords, these specific chords, I just wanted to let them play. It felt like the right point in the album to kind of let it just breathe for a sec. And yeah, I did some other, you know, granular, not granular synthesis, but granular delay stuff on these chords. But yeah, Forgotten Dread, a little moment on the album to reflect, and a great use of some randomization. One of the final things I'd like to mention is that I released this a day early on Bandcamp, but I skewed that early day to be on like Friday, which is known as release day. The day after, on Saturday, the album came out on streaming. And the reason why I did this is so that on release day, people had something a little bit more concrete to do. Usually I'll release a single or an album and I'll just say, head to the link in my bio and you can stream it, right? But in this case, I wanted to say, head to the link in my bio and you can buy it on Bandcamp. It's not available on streaming yet, right? Instead of providing them a link to stream it, I provided them either a link to purchase it or a link to pre-save it, which if they're already engaging with the post, they're much more likely to go pre-save it. And wouldn't you know it, in just that first day of the album only being available on Bandcamp, I got 63 pre-saves that day alone. And that was like all the pre-saves I got, which is a lot for me. So I'll probably be doing that again. And we'll wrap this video up with some visual inspiration for the album that I found on Threads. Various bits and bobs that I've collected from the internet over the last few months while making this EP. And yeah, go buy it on Bandcamp. I'll put the links in the description, or you can go stream it wherever you listen to music. But this has been Wowflower explaining his new EP, Underwater Music. Thanks for being here.